half. And in terms of cost living, it's very affordable compared to Melbourne and Sydney. And we are in the population of around 500,000 of population in Newcastle. Again, this is telling you that we have great climate, affordable living, and great lifestyle. So in the university itself, to go to the beach is just 15 minutes to 20 minutes away from the campus. Okay. This is a very detailed explanation on how our cost of living compared to Sydney and Melbourne. But generally, if you ask me how much budget should your students prepare for a month for food, housing, transportation, and everything, a good 2,000 to 2,005 would be efficient for a month. So yeah, 2,000 to 2,005 for a month in Newcastle is good enough. But in Sydney and Melbourne, I think you need at least 3,000 to 3,005 minimum. So regarding to how old the University of Newcastle is, so in 1965 we have established since 1965. So until now we are 54 years old already. Yeah. So we are a university under 100 years old, but slightly over 50 years old. So we are young university, but not so young. So this is the ranking. This is the QS global ranking. I know there's a lot of different ranking like Shanghai Jiaotong ranking and Times ranking, but usually I believe in Southeast Asia, we are still very rely on QS ranking. So QS ranking, we are ranked 214 globally. And in Australia ranking, we are number 10. And the next slide would show you exactly who is ranking number 1 to number 10 in Australia. So as you can see in this chart, number 1 to number 8 is the group of 8 university. I believe they probably would not change the group of 8 in the 8th position because this is the way the university in Australia brand the group of 8. So the usual change of this chart would be number 9 and number 10. So this is the first year that University of Newcastle climbed up to the 10th place. It's never been so high before. So we are very proud that we finally climbed up to top 10 just after UTS. Excuse me. So next we will go into details on some of the subject ranking. So just now we talked about global ranking and general rankings. So now we'll talk about some of the subject rankings. So this slide here would let you know roughly what program we are strong at. So as you can see here, our mining engineering is top 50 in the world. The reason behind is Newcastle is actually the largest mine export city in the whole Australia. So we are ranked the very high in mining engineering. Some questions?
Because we have agent can hear the.
Oh, yeah, my voice.
Yeah, maybe you can slow down a little bit. Can the others hear clearly, or it's quite blur? Can type in the chat just to let us know if you guys can hear clearly.
Really? Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I'll try to speak slowly. Okay. So next, the rank top 100 in the world. Some of our very famous program in Malaysia and Singapore is architecture because for PAM, Board of Architects in Malaysia and Board of Architects in Singapore is recognizing our architecture degree. So if your students coming to study architects, after the bachelor degree and master degree, they can then practice as a chartered architect without taking any other exams. Because if you do not study an architecture program without accreditation, then your student will need to go through a few more exams before they can get chartered. So some of the other program is like nursing, education, and sports. We are ranked top 100 in the world. So as you can see, we also have some of this program which is ranked within the top 200 in the world. For example, psychology, medicine, civil engineering, chemical engineering, etc.
So some questions about questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
So from my experience, I know if you're from Indonesia, Indonesia students love to study business program in Australia. So I have give you this generic idea. So for business and economics ranking, from the Times ranking, we are ranked number 8 in the whole Australia. So in terms of subjects ranking again, this is based on another ranking called QILT ranking. If you can Google QILT, just gonna type QILT, then you can determine on which subjects area is strong for each and every university. So I'm just giving you example for here. For Australia, we are ranked number 1 for engineering education. And then we are ranked top 2 for applied maths, biochemistry, and cell biology. And then we are top 3 in Australia for psychology. So top 4 in Australia for health and medicine research, and number 8 in research in Australia. Okay. Later I will show you in details on how QILT ranking score. Before that, maybe I'll talk to you a little bit about the Callaghan campus. So Callaghan campus, we have a name that we have named as the most natural beauty campus in the whole Australia. The reason because we have a lot of greens, a lot of trees. We have about 10,000 trees in Callaghan campus. This is the main campus. This is just another picture that is very laid back. So apart from students after their classes, there's like an outdoor cafe or a place for them to chill, especially during nice weather. Okay, so as mentioned before, this is the city campus. So from the city campus to go to the Newcastle Callaghan campus, the distance is about 15 minutes away. Now, we do have a free shuttle bus service for all our students and staff. So if your students is studying here, then they can take the free bus to go to the city, because the city campus is located in the city itself. So this campus is only for the Faculty of Business and Law. So if you're a student studying business program and law program, they will be based in this campus only. But at the meantime, they can still go to the main campus to enjoy the facilities like sports, swimming pools. They can also stay in the hostel, which is located in this campus, and then travel to this city campus every day for free. This is another exciting news whereby we are currently expanding, and we are planning to move some of our faculty into this new piece of land that we have just bought. So currently there is some piling job at the time being, there is some piling job being done in this area. So where new space is, where this building is currently in here. So in future, we will have 2 big campuses in the city. But this probably will be done in 4 to 5 years' time. So Central Coast campus is in between Newcastle and Sydney. These campuses most of the science program runs in these campuses like sports science, food science, and podiatry, nursing runs in this campus. Right, this is another exciting news. So last year, December 17, the University of Newcastle has decided that all of our campuses in Australia is running 100% renewable energy. So we are the first university and the only university currently running on 100% renewable energy. So if your students would like to study, we have a degree called Bachelor of Renewable Energy. So if your student is studying this program, they are really beneficial because they get to see how renewable energy runs in a large scale in our campus. And also this degree is job of the future, and I believe there's more demand in the next 10 to 20 years coming along. UON Singapore, we do not have a campus itself in Singapore, but what we are running is there's two institutions that are currently running our Newcastle program, which is PSB Academy and BCA. But not all the program is running in Singapore, only certain program like commerce, business, engineering. So it is, if your students have budget concern, they can actually do the first year or second year in Singapore and then transfer to Australia. In that way, it is cheaper in that way because if they do Singapore first and then Australia, the fees is cheaper. Okay. This is a little bit for your information. So you know that in Australia, in Malaysia we call native, but in Australia they call it the Aboriginal people. So the Aboriginal people, they are the original people before the British comes to Australia to colonize them. So the Aboriginal people, usually back then, like during the 30s or 40s, they were like this racism occur. But for University of Newcastle, we have a long history that we actually support to give Aboriginal people their post-secondary educations. So in history talking, we have more Aboriginal people to graduate in the Faculty of Medicine. So this are some of your informations. Okay, so going back to Jack Ma, I promise you that why is the reason that Jack Ma donated 26 million to us. So about 30 to 40 years ago, there was this boy called Jack Ma. So he based in Hangzhou, and then there was this family that they were known as the Morley family that went to Hangzhou for vacation. So this boy called David Morley actually discovered Jack Ma. Jack Ma was so poor that he wanted to study English, but he didn't have the money to study English. So the only way for him to study English is to talk to foreigners. So the moment when they met, they have built these friendships. And then this family actually sponsored Jack Ma to go to Newcastle for 2 or 3 times. So this the reason Jack Ma was so successful, the Western culture actually give him the opportunity and give him it's like an eye-opener for him to explore more and more in the e-commerce world. So as a token of friendship, as a token of appreciation, Jack Ma actually donated 26 million to us as a token of friendship. Okay. So just now I've mentioned to you about Quilt ranking. So Quilt ranking is actually not a ranking like QS, whereby QS ranking is being marked and being ranked by their QS people, but quilt ranking is actually so a survey done by the student itself, and this is only an indicator for Australian university. So as you can see here, we have 5 examples of the university, all in New South Wales states. So we have Macquarie, New South Wales, Newcastle, University of Sydney, and UTS. So in terms of students' experience, we are being ranked the highest, and we are above. We are above this line, which is the national average quality overall of education. Yeah, which is above average, which is above more than average actually. So this is overall quality of education experience, whereby when the students come to Newcastle, how they feel the city or how they're being treated. This is the results. And in terms of teaching quality, we are also number 1 out of the 5 university. And student support, now we do extremely well in terms of student support. I believe there is a reason why we do very well, because in terms of student population for international, we do not have a lot of international students. So we can give more cares for the international students. So in terms of student supports, we are doing very well. Yeah. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this one because there's a lot of figure and a lot of wording. So I'm just going to let you know some of the strong, this is the engineering and built environment. As mentioned, we are number 1 in Australia. Faculty of Business, we are number 8 in Australia, and AACSB accredited. Faculty of Education and Arts, we are top 100 in the world for education training. Health and Medicine, top 100%, top 100 in the world. Faculty of Science, also top 100 in the world, and top 150 in psychology. Basically, in University of Newcastle, we have a lot of programs, but these are the programs that I constantly getting inquiry from. Anyone?
Everyone hear clearly? Because if it goes off, do let us know.
That's fine. Okay. Yeah. So we do have our own language center. So if your students need to polish their English skills, we do have a 1 month to 10 months of English course that your students can come before they start their program with us. So in terms of accommodation, we do have on-site accommodation in the Callaghan campus. Is 24/7 residential support. We have 9 types of residents with 1,800 beds. But most of the time, our accommodation is first come, first served basis. So if you have student who would like to stay with us, my recommendation is to book early. And the beaches is just 20 minutes by car. So this is an example of a 5 to 6 sharing bedroom apartment. So students will get their single room like this, and then they will have sharing toilets and bathrooms and kitchens and living room. Homestay is only applicable if your students is below 18. And then these are the fees and details. I have a question. How can we apply for the homestay? Okay, if your students is under 18, then our admission actually will capture the under 18 students. So we actually will provide you a list of homestay. So the admission would directly deal with you, and then they would give you a selection of the homestay provider. Then your students will need to choose on which homestay provider they would be, and then going on from there. So the application is we will let you know, and then how can we apply the homestay? Oh, okay. If the student is over 18 and they would like to stay on homestay, it's the same process. You need to go to our website and apply for homestays. Once the admissions and accommodation department capture your application, then they will direct liaise with you. So just now I have give you a roughly estimate on how much is the living cost in Australia. So this is the rough estimations. So in terms of rent, is charged about 200 a week. So as 200 to 250 a week. So for rent on your monthly expenses is about 950 per month. In terms of food, depends on what you eat. But for 900, you get decent meals and you get good groceries. And then if you cook yourself, you can save even more. In Australia, generally, for like a meals of McDonald's would cost you about maybe $11 to $15 for a meal. That's roughly the cost is. And others cost like transport, entertainment, then it would be about 200. So estimately 1 month you will spend about $2,000 in Newcastle. So this is the link that for accommodation options, there's more pictures and how you can apply for accommodation in this link. So later Katie will send this presentation to everyone. Okay, employment outcomes. So just now I mentioned to you the benefits of why there is benefits of being the only university in Newcastle. So the reason is whenever companies and organizations they are looking for fresh talent in Newcastle, they always come back to the University of Newcastle itself. And because we are the only one, they have no other choice. So in terms of when your students graduate, they have less competitions as compared to university that are located in Sydney and Melbourne because there's so much competitions. So as as a result, there's not many job openings in Sydney and Melbourne, whereas in Newcastle, we are able to fit in all these fresh talents to the employer. So as you can see here, our physiotherapy is 100% employed, and some of other program is above 90% for upper body. Scholarships. So we do have scholarships, but not all the faculties are giving us scholarships. So the two faculty that are giving scholarships is Faculty of Engineering and Built Environment. The scholarships is up to $5,000. So it's a tier scholarship. So the better your student's result is, they get more scholarships. So the 5,000 is up to 5,000 a year. So if they study 4 years with us, they will get 20,000. Now, Faculty of Science is more special. Faculty of Science, you do not have to look at your results. As long as you meet the entry requirement, you will be giving a $5,000 scholarships per year. Right? So selling points of why you should choose. This is the summary already. So as a recap, we are the only university in Newcastle. So as a result, we have less competition on fresh graduates when it comes to looking for a new job. So secondly, we are, as international students, they are very, very special in Newcastle. So in terms of ratio wise, there's only 17.5% international students in Newcastle. So we have about 7,000 of international students, and then we have 40,000 domestic students. So thirdly, as being the only university in Newcastle, the Newcastle Council and the government actually work very closely with us. So how the city impact generally is also because of the university. So we have more and more Chinese stores and Chinese business like opening Korean restaurant, opening Chinese grocery stores. So all this impact comes from the university itself. So 10 years ago, maybe you would think Newcastle is like a rural area, but now it's no longer the case. Actually, the city is very vibrant. The coffee culture is great. Oh yeah, just for your info, we used to have the Starbucks, but the Starbucks has already closed down because the coffee is very good in Newcastle. And the number 4 point, we are the top 10 university in Australia with lower fees. And if you know, the group of 8 university, they are charging very expensive. So I can say that we are the cheapest university fees in the top 10 university. And last one is lower living costs. Okay, so
far questions?
yeah, but I think that's all, yeah, that's all for my presentation for today.
You were saying about the scholarship is by tier. When they apply, they 2,000.
So when they apply, okay, so the scholarship work this way. When they apply, the scholarship letter would not give to them yet. So when they apply, admission would capture,
Okay.
and then admission will release the offer letter. So if the student is eligible for scholarships, the faculty would then give out the scholarships letter. So usually the scholarships letter would be sent out about 1 to 2 weeks after they've been offered a place. Yeah.
It's not everyone will definitely get it.
Yeah, not everyone will get it for engineering, but for science, as long as they meet the requirement, then they will get it. Okay, so I can type China, India, and then China, India, Malaysia, then we get some Japanese, not Japanese, and then the other two could be not Indonesia. So this three is the top three for sure. The other two, I'm not too sure.
Other questions? You can let us know like you can comment like paragraph.
Yeah. So yeah.
Then perhaps they will look at first of all the well-being. Like you're in the top 10. So what are the new programs?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So in Newcastle, of course, the top program depends on countries. So in Malaysia, it works extremely well for our engineering and architecture, and our some of our health sciences program as well. The reason is because the accreditation is there. So before you counsel your student, you have to make sure that the university program is accredited by this professional body. So when you have, let's say if you want to study architecture in Melbourne and architecture in Newcastle, most of the time Newcastle will stand out because Uni Melbourne architecture program is not recognized in Malaysia, and also our fees are cheaper than Melbourne. So it depends on the course itself.
Any more questions? Is there any internship?
Yes, internship program. Some of the program internship is embedded. For example, the engineering program is a compulsory 150 hours of internship. So all this internship opportunity, our university will place the students if they require, if they need assistance for the university to look for internship for the students. Otherwise, the students can fly back to their home country to do it.
Any more questions? No more questions. I think you'll conclude this session. So
Okay.
if there's any more questions, feel free to send us any queries. You can make any presentation.
Thank you. Okay, no problem.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.